Welcome everybody, I'm Luchian Fogoros, and today we're talking to Gregg Le Blanc, the Senior Vice President of Cloud Portfolio of Aveva. Welcome, Greg. All right, so you just had a presentation, talked about the vision of Aveva's cloud platform. Maybe give the audience a quick overview of how it aligns with some of the industrial clients in today's rapidly changing landscape, and maybe some milestone in a roadmap, if you don't mind expanding a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so the industrial platform is responsible for making a clean, well-lit place for your data to live from hybrid systems. We don't really think that the on-prem installation base is going to go away. People have asset-intensive industries. They design, they build them, they maintain them, they operate, they optimize those operations. And we think that we should be extending the value that they've already placed in and around those assets to the cloud so that more people can benefit from that data. So Aveva Data Hub, which is part of the industrial platform, is a way to store, see, shape, and share that information. So things that we talked about last year that were just released after Aveva World were like the connected community. It was a way to define sets of data that you would like to share to a third party without giving them direct access to your on-prem systems or giving them a login into your IT world. And those are things that we think will enable a new application ecosystem. So during the keynotes, you would have heard something about like the ecosystem that we're building. It's built on data. It's built on trust. And when people know that the authoritative data is available to them whenever they need it in the Aveva Data Hub, that means that they're able to share it confidently to other applications. We see the application ecosystem growing. The reason we say it's open and neutral is that the APIs that we use to build our products are the same APIs our customers have access to and the same APIs that our partner community have access to. We've made it easy to consume these data services, and at this Aveva World, we're introducing a couple really nice but detailed things from the platform perspective. If you're familiar with Aveva MES as a manufacturing execution system, it's a rich way to create products, and our customers use it in a variety of different ways to create different end products. We are now able to aggregate that data into Aveva Data Hub as what we call event data. So events are a way of saying that something starts, something ends, things happen in between. And then when you get a lot of those, maybe from across many sites, like many Aveva MES systems, you would like to compare how maybe the same product is being built in multiple locations and identify discrepancies and things like that. So that means that you can now do analytics based on that, you can do reporting on that. And so we're working, that's in preview right now, and it should be available toward the end of the year. We already have customers adopting it and third parties adopting it to in what we call our Lighthouse program. The software is basically done, and then we want them to validate, did we accomplish the objective that we set out to achieve? So there are a lot of event type data. So we'll also see partners using that same API to run analytics and say, I've identified a condition, that excursion or no data or something like that, mark the start and end, and then they'll have this way to parse and divide up the data in Data Hub to use it in applications.
Right, now when you've mentioned making the data available, keeping it open so other people can access it, my mind immediately went towards democratization. The data that you've been storing for several decades now, with a huge historian, and making that available to other folks. How far are we from their reality to empower, let's say, an entrepreneur that maybe just starting a business and say, wow, I can tap into this 10, 15 years of, let's say, oil and gas data or of whatever that data might be, and just data that could be made available publicly and so on.
We've made it easy to aggregate data from, say, many years of data from, say, an Aveva Historian or from a Pi server, and now Aveva MES, but it's also other systems of record, whether it's OPC UA or MQTT, those kind of, or text files, that kind of stuff. And that does open up a ability to build new kinds of digital services. So some of our customers are even doing this. They make an end product, but they would like to then say, how are you using my end product? I would like to actually build a digital service to advise you on how you're using it. It could be catalysts, it could be fine chemicals, it could be a large yellow company that wants to monitor their trucks that are in a mine. There was an example used in the keynote this morning about a power producer, a scheduler, the consumer, the investor, also needing all that same data to monitor how they're doing renewable energy. So once the data is available in Data Hub, they can then control who they share it with. And it may be the same data, but it may look different to different audiences. The investor wants to see a dashboard. The power purchaser wants to know, is it available and can I trade on it? The scheduler is saying, what is the forecast looking like and how can I bid into the market? That is the power of having the data available and able to share for these different consumers.
Got it. Thank you for that. And now, talking about the data and the landscape changing, how does Aveva Industrial Platform address some of the challenges and sort of opportunities? You've touched on some of them, perhaps a new opportunities, but maybe expand a little bit.
So yeah, there are plenty of opportunities both for Aveva, but also our partner community. So we see, as part of our commitment to using open APIs and that kind of thing to make it easy to consume, we provide help in terms of sample code and those kind of things to get you started. And what we see is then you're able to spend more time with your intellectual property. Where you're an expert, you should spend your time building the algorithm, building the business around that information rather than all the plumbing it takes to get the data there. So we're trying to alleviate that aspect of aggregating many, many different kinds of data together so that they can be searched and shared. And we want to be the shared system of record. So if you do have that 10 years of history, and you do have an analytics firm or an analytics team that wants to go work with it, you don't have to go down and touch every production site and probably impact their operations. That's one of the reasons we built Data Hub the way it is because we had customers building large IT organizations around hosting software and keeping it up, because when they let the data scientists and applications down on the plant floor, it was impacting how they were running their actual operations, and that you can't do that.
You just struck something I like to double click on. So on the large companies, they have that IT department. That's all great. Now, maybe share a little bit that one on a smaller company. They may not have an IT person, may not have the owner, maybe the IT person.
So coming from the OSI soft background, I started last century working with the Pi server and that sort of thing. And I actually hosted my own Pi server for a wind forecasting company. And it's a lot of work. And smaller companies don't have the IT staff, they don't have the server budgets, those kind of things. And when I started working with the cloud investment that OSI Soft was making and now Aveva is making, it was to offer a way to just work with the data. I don't have to worry about a server, I don't have to worry about the connectivity as much. So we're creating ways to actually manage the edge connectivity. So we make a little tiny version of the archive in Aveva Data Hub called Edge Data Store, and we have adapters which buffer the data and can send it to either Pi or to Aveva Data Hub. But you don't have to have the technical expertise of running an entire server and laying down a network, because we have customers with assets, the normally unstaffed facilities, or NUFs, that don't have people there to maintain systems. They've got a cell phone connection or a satellite connection. They have a device that they don't know the status of, and maybe it speaks a standard language like OPC-UA or MQTT, or maybe it's custom, and we have a way for now our community or our customers to actually write their own connectivity and get the data there. So what we're trying to do is let them treat their far-flung assets, or smaller customers take the advantage of all the Aveva flagship products without as much IT investment into using that every day.
Makes a lot of sense. So many organizations are looking for leverage emerging technologies with like AI, and I think everybody looks, there's generative AI, there's IoT analytics. How does Aveva Industrial Platform integrate this? I know Rob gave some examples, and maybe I'm gonna, not to put you on a spot, how far are we from that becoming a reality to inject some of the data that's coming from internal processes, we the power of these large models?
I think there's a couple different takes on that. Like, I think we want to build the trust in something that's generating answers, and we do have some of the systems of record that help do that. Maybe it's the documentation that we've ingested and we have references to, so there's an authoritative set of documentation, PNIDs, those kind of things. We want to bring that data more forefront into the platform, so that's the investment we're making now, is how do you take something that would normally be done in like Aveva Asset Information Management, how do we make that data component more platform native so it isn't per site sort of thing, and then how do we offer that in context with the operations data and something that can look into the past and figure out the specific information that is relevant to that customer rather than just general purpose recommendations that you would see in a ChatGPT demo today.
Right.
So I think it more of an assistive tool, and taking advantage of the analytics that may run based on the digital twin, the MES records, all that kind of stuff that we then store back in the platform so that thing can get smarter. But I think the trust component is where we want to invest. So they want to know where the data is coming from so they can draw that boundary, and the system of record that they would then point something to give them maintenance advisory and that sort of thing that we may not really be as involved in. But I'm sure a very large operating company has a team of people investigating all the best maintained assets and trying to figure out the practices and find a way to then repeat those reliably, and then dovetailing it with the actual operations data is, I think, where we'll see the intersection.
Great.
But we should also help users find what they're looking for more easily in a natural language. So you'll see that kind of thing appear in our tooling, so search becomes better and that sort of thing. But that may be a distinct use case from advising what to do after you've done the search.
Thanks for the insights. And just as you were going through this, I heard you mention MES a couple of times. And if I look at the traditional MES, right, there is IoT platform that's sort of eating the lunch of what the analysts boxed at MES. And if you look at the MES now, they are going to in the platform. Are we seeing that model blurring, that Purdue model, and with the IoT sort of getting involved there and becoming a platform?
I can see that some of the innovations we have in sensing technology, communication, so the faster networks, the 5G or Wi-Fi, whatever we've got there, battery life, those kind of things are bringing the practices of a well-run manufacturing execution system to more kinds of industries, or maybe sites that wouldn't have had that kind of overview, like a box plant really is pretty low tech, but you do want to know if that machine is working. But you can't afford maybe to go decorate that with a large MES project. You would want a more targeted way to consume that. And I think that's what we're building as a way to sort of democratize access to that. Vibration monitoring is a similar sort of thing. You don't want to go to all your assets because you couldn't afford it, but now they've got vibration sensors based on the same thing you find in your smartwatch. You got the battery life, and you have a way to go process that data and take action, and it's a lot cheaper. So I think we're seeing less overhead and less activation energy to get into maintaining things that may not really be MES. They are production, but they are managed like you want them managed like an MES. You want your production record, your birth history, all the steps. Why did that take longer this time? Those kind of things we should be able to make applicable to more types of assets and production. That's where I see it.
Thanks for the insights, appreciate it. And if you're in the audience, you have questions for Gregg, feel free to leverage the hashtags you see on the screen, Aveva World or IoT World, and we'll get Gregg or somebody on his team to follow up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.